Welcome to the Tudor Dixon Podcast. It is Memorial Day, and I am saying we are celebrating Memorial Day because it's a day when we can celebrate our freedoms and thank the people who made the ultimate sacrifice to give us those freedoms. This morning, I was with my girls in the car and I said, this is Memorial Day. So what are you guys thankful for on Memorial Day? And my 11-year-old said, I'm thankful for the people who chose to go over and fight and give their life so that I can live in this country for free. And I was like, yes, you get it. I was so happy. And I want to share that with everybody today because I think that it is a day to honor and memorialize the folks who did that for us. And so we have someone with us today who's going to help us do that. His name is Chad Conley, and he is a former Green Beret and Army Master Sergeant who served our country for 20 years with multiple tours in Iraq and Afghanistan. And he started an organization that I think is pretty awesome. And I saw this because you guys have seen Jennifer Say on this program. She runs a clothing organization called XXXY. You can see it on his hat there if you're watching. And if you want to watch, you can check this out on YouTube or Rumble. But I just want to say that I saw that you are partnered with them and you have an organization called 50 for the Fallen. So Chad, welcome to the podcast.
Tudor, thank you. Happy Memorial Day to you and to the people that are going to listen and watch this. First off, though, happy belated Mother's Day. I have a wife and I have a little girl, and the work you guys put in is tireless. It's thankless, and I want to say thank you because y'all don't get it enough. So,
well, thank you for that. And honestly, we feel like we get to do that in this country because of the people who do and have done what you've done. And we thank you for that. And I think that, a lot of people say Memorial Day is about the people that we've lost, but I think no one feels it more than certainly the families of those who have served and given the ultimate sacrifice for us, but also the men and women who served alongside those that they lost. And I know that that's your story and that you started this organization because you realized that there were a lot of people that were struggling, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I, myself included. It was May of 2020. There had been a spate of suicides going through special operations and where I was at the unit I worked with. And I went out for a walk during that time when everything was just chaotic. You had the George Floyd incident and the riots starting to kick up. You had all of COVID starting and everyone was separated. And I went for a long walk to connect and say goodbye to some friends who had died. It turned out to be 50 miles. And I walked it on my own that day and just did it. And that's where it started. I actually had a breakthrough going up a hill and started missing a friend of mine, got to the top and just sat down and let it out. And it felt great because I was actually able to say goodbye. That's propelled us now to doing events all over the nation, working with a bunch of amazing organizations, meeting amazing people like Jen and now yourself and others. And that's where the Lord's put us now. So it's pretty amazing to see where we are from me just clearing my head.
Okay, so let's start from the beginning because you have a really interesting story in general. The clearing your head is kind of the point that you're at now and starting this organization and helping other people to get there. And as you're saying that, there's so many things that go through my head. I'm like, man, I would love to go you're like, I went to take a walk and it ended up being 50 miles. I'm like, no one says that, like, that's a very long walk, but so needed. And that's that time. This is something that, years ago, it would have been pretty normal to say, I need to clear my head. I need time. I need space. And now we're in this environment where you don't feel like you're allowed 50 miles. You don't feel like you're allowed that time. You do 50 miles in 18 hours, correct?
Oh, it's a prescribed. Yes, ma'am. We make 50 miles in 18 hours. We do stops every 10 miles. We do foot checks, medical. We go through food, water, and all that. But it makes the people communicate because you're walking slowly and having a conversation at this, pretty much pace here that we're talking. You can have that while you walk.
I love that because I do think it's hard to convince ourselves to slow down.
Yeah.
And that's when I think that all of the things that haunt you get worse because you just don't have the time to face it. And for you to have done this on your own and to realize that, hey, I could do this with a lot of people and help them. But your story is interesting from the very beginning, because I'm reading that you were like one of these blue-haired guys with big gauge earrings, and then something happened, 9/11, like changed your life, or what happened?
Yeah. So I grew up in Southern Ohio, a very poor little area.
Oh, Ohio. I'm a
That's what it
Michigan
is.
girl, so we have to be rude to you.
It's okay. I'll pray for you. Right now, go Bucks. But no. So yeah, I grew up that way. My dad was very sick. He had passed, and I was finding myself and all this. So blue hair, the earrings, other stuff that'll, just, hey, look at me, pretty much is what it is. And you use an ego to edge God out. That's what I was doing. But I found my way to the recruiter after 9/11. And I was looking for a sense of purpose. I walk in, the Navy guy looks at me and goes, nah. And he just turns around and walks back in his office. The Marine Corps guy actually laughed at me. He didn't even get up from his desk. He just started laughing. The Army needed people. Next thing you know, they float this 18 X-ray contract in front of me. And, it was what I needed. I was put there for that reason and said yes, and then had an amazing career in Special Forces.
That's so interesting, because we think now, and today is obviously a different story, because they need recruits. And I look at the people that are there today. I mean, we just see these videos recently where when Biden was in, it was like these men who were doing recruitment videos, and then it would be from them in their uniform to them in drag. So imagine getting pushed out when you walk in with earrings and blue hair. Today it's like under Biden, they would have been like, you're perfect. Could you put a skirt on?
Yeah, that would have been a different world. I'm glad. I'm glad I came and what I did. But those were interesting times. I'm glad I can say now that I'm out or I'm retired. I'm glad we're looking at a different future now.
But you went in, and you spent a lot of time. It wasn't, we hear that story of, the kid that went to military school and then the parents sent him off to the military, like you're going to shape up. But you went on your own, which I think is impressive for someone who said the statement you made about it was ego edging out God. That is big at that age to say, I need something. I got to be a part of something bigger than me.
Yeah. I'd spent a lot of my life. My dad was very sick when I was young, so I helped raise my sister. And I, at that point, took a moment back and said, okay, what, and I was praying about it. It was on me. Then I found my way in there, and it was like, it was what I needed. And I was looking for the National Guard recruiter, but I ended up going to the active duty full time. And, little did I know that would be a 20-year career. But,
so 20 years, multiple tours, you have seen every aspect of combat. You come back and it's 2020, something none of us have ever experienced. I mean, I can say, well, I haven't experienced active combat, but none of us had experienced being as vulnerable as we were during the pandemic, because you're in the situation where you don't know whether you can see your parents, your grandparents, you're being locked away. The government's taking control. We've never been in that situation before, but it was also, I can step back and say there was a lot of fear over who's going to get sick and die, because I know people now will say, oh, if I get COVID, it's no big deal. But when COVID initially hit, there were people in our families that we were losing because their immune system couldn't handle it. There was a lot of fear. There was a lot of vulnerability. And then you say, all of a sudden there is this division in the country with the George Floyd riots. And do you think that combination of factors was what kind of brought you to that point of saying, I need to deal with some things?
It absolutely was. We had went through something as a family before that really affected me. And then when everything kicked off, it was just like, I got to get out of here and go for a walk. And I told my wife, and she was like, okay. She's used to me doing silly, stupid things. So, it's part of the job being in the military. Sometimes you just got to go get out there. But I said, I got to go do this. So I went out and went for the walk, And through it, I found a lot of myself, because when you get, tired and beat up, at some point you can't hold up that ego, because physically you're holding yourself up to keep it together. And through that time, you find a little bit of just realization of who you are, what's going on, and you are able to say, okay, what do I need to deal with here that really matters? And some friends' deaths came up, and I got to address that. I got to say goodbye. I got to do that. Since doing that, I've had one friend of mine do 3 of my events, walk 150 miles to say goodbye to a friend who committed suicide. And it took him 150 miles to do that. And it was, we were in Pearl Harbor, December of 2022 for this event. And we had walked from Keneohe to Pearl Harbor to be there the morning of December 7th to pay honor. And, just to say thank you to the veterans that were there and those that, survived and defended Pearl Harbor. But he stood up in front of everyone and was like, here's what I went through. Here's me saying goodbye to a friend who I can finally do. And that's why we do these events now, is you're going to get people that come out, they're going to walk a mile, they're going to walk 50. And we don't care what you do, just be involved. There's no phones, there's no music. It's just you and the people with you. And that connection opens up. So it was big, and you think like today with Memorial Day, we've done this on Memorial Day in 2022. We went to Washington, D.C. and did a 50-miler starting in Walter Reed, walked down to Mount Vernon, came back up, went around the mall, and finished at Arlington to say goodbye to our friends there. And we need to take Memorial Day and understand that, yes, it's a somber day. It's a day to say thank you and goodbye, and I will see you again, and I love you, to our friends who are gone. But it's also a day to celebrate their lives. And that's something that we like to do with our events, is I make everybody run it in at the end. So like the last quarter mile to 10th of a mile, depending how tough it's been, we're all sprinting in and going for it. The event I bring up for Memorial Day of 22, we are getting halfway across the bridge to Arlington. And at that point, I'm like, all right, let's go. And everyone starts running. And I'm like, oh no, this is much longer than I thought. So we're running, and then we're like, our tank is just depleting. We're getting so beat up. But we came in, and there were a lot of tears, a lot of I miss yous, a lot of talking to our friends who aren't there, but they're, we're looking at their headstones and saying goodbye. Section 60 is just riddled with friends. And every time I go to DC, I find my way there to say goodbye to some people, or to say hi, or I'll see you later. And
I think that's the power of this day, is that there are so many people who are saying goodbye and celebrating. And I think that's important. What you said is that this is also a celebration, but there are folks who came home and they struggled, like you talked about, same thing you experienced. But we've even had people on this program who have talked to people who have been suicidal, and in times they've lost those people. Other times they've been able to bring them out. What is that like when you are celebrating a day like this? And it wasn't somebody who died in combat. It's somebody who died because of the wounds of combat that didn't go away.
It's a bittersweet moment, because the person for who they were at their best moment. And the individual that stood up and said, I will defend this country from threats, both foreign and domestic, and got out there and did it. And then to see those invisible wounds come back, and that bullet to hit, or that person to die, it's like sweet poison and how it hits you, because you get to feel all the good things that goes on from knowing them. But at the same time, that bitter burn hits you of saying, what could I have done for that person, or what could have been said? To date, we've stopped 4 suicides on our rucks. We've had 4 people come to us during and after and say, I want to kill myself. What can you do? And we've gotten them help they need.
Hey guys, stick around. We've got more coming up with 50 for the Fallen founder, Chad Conley. But first, I want to take a moment for our partners at IFCJ. We are seeing something truly disturbing right now. Anti-Semitism is on the rise around the world. And sadly, as you saw, right here in America, Jewish schools are being targeted, synagogues threatened, families living in fear. It's something we hoped we'd never see again in our lifetime. And let me tell you this, silence is not an option. This is a moment that we need to take a stand. It's not a moment to be silent. That's why I want to tell you about the International Fellowship of Christians and Jews, or also known as IFCJ. You've heard me call it that. They are on the front lines. They are providing real help where it's needed most. They're giving food and shelter to Jewish families under threat, building bomb shelters for children, helping survivors of hate rebuild their lives. And they don't just respond to crisis, they work every day to prevent it. Your gift of only $45 will help support their life-saving work by helping to provide food, shelter, and much more. The Bible says, I will bless those who bless you. Supporting IFCJ is a spiritual stand. It's showing up for God's people when it counts. So please call 888-488-IFCJ. That's 888-488-4325, or go to ifcj.org. Every dollar helps. Don't wait. Be the difference. You guys saw it just last week. It's so important. Visit ifcj.org or call 888-488-IFCJ right now. Now stay tuned. We've got more after this. How many people have done this? I mean, because it seems like it's so needed, and it seems to be growing quickly. So tell us about the process of when you started it and how people started to learn about it and come to it more.
So we've all seen Fight Club. So it was kind of the Fight Club thing of, hey, can I join? And that's really how it started. I did this. And the next year was the 20th anniversary of 9/11. And some friends of mine were like, hey, can I join you if you're going to do one? And I said, let's go to New York. And I prayed on. And the next thing I know, I'm connected to some amazing people and some organizations out there that provided us security for that event. And that was all God. And I'll say it because we were started in Yankee Stadium, 50 miles around the city. At the time, I couldn't shut down the Verrazano. I can now. So when we go back, we'll shut down the Verrazano and go from all 5 boroughs. But for this event, we start up there next to Yankee Stadium, and we have police escort, blue light and plainclothes. And then we go into, up there and into the Bronx. And what do you have? You have a lot of impoverished people. You have a lot of ghettos and such. And these gangbangers legitimately looked at us and were like, what are you doing here? And we're very aggressive. And I'm like, hey, I'm taking these people on a very long walk. We're here because tomorrow is the 20th anniversary of 9/11. Do you want to join? Do you want to help out? And then we had, honest to goodness, gang security helping us, like make sure we were good on their side. We had police security, and like we walked it all the way down. But it all started from people saying, I need that in my life. I need to be challenged. I need the hard thing. Today, there isn't a rite of passage from adults or from teenagers and young adults to adulthood, really, to say, hey, you are now a man. You are now a woman. Now, in being a woman, you do have that biologically. You guys have certain things. You're like, oh, hey, and to being a woman now, men, we don't have that. So a lot of guys reached out to me originally and said, I need this. And that's where it started. And then soccer moms joined in, people from pro sports, other individuals from government were just like, hey, I need this. And everyone who's done it, you finish, you're crying, you're laughing, you're hugging people you just met. But in a way, it's a trauma bond because you've gone through this long thing together. And in that long thing, you found out things about yourself, and you've dealt with things that you've been burying. But when you're so tired, they just come to the front and you have to address them. And you're talking with total strangers. But at the end of it, you're sharing your story. You're saying, what's your reason for walking such a long period or just being up? Some of the most amazing conversations come from individuals who maybe walk a mile total, but they're helping the whole night. They're setting up our tables, helping with feet wrapping and medical and all that. And they're just there. And they're just as open and vulnerable. And they'll say, oh, I can't walk like that. It's like, that, I don't care. Can you be there and be a part? And in doing such, they give so much of themselves that they're filled in the end because everyone's hugging them, saying thank you. And everyone walks the end of it. So we'll have everybody, if you've supported or not, hey, at the end, get out of the truck, the van, whatever we have, let's go in together.
How many events do you have? And is there ongoing outreach after this, or what is it?
Yes,
tell us a little bit about it.
So for the events, every year it varies. In 2023, we did 850 milers around the nation with smaller events as well. Last year, we did 4 major events, like long events. Like we did the Honolulu Marathon twice. We were in Cincinnati doing one with the Cincinnati Bengals. Had some stuff because I'm also the head of military engagement for Spartan Race. So all the obstacle courses, I take people out there for that. I bring them into the military. I'd love to discuss some of that with you. I think you'd find it fun, actually. And this year, we've done 3 smaller events already. We have the Chicago Bulls coming up, where we're doing an event in the United Center, 50 miles inside the United Center in August, where you're going up and down the stairs. Yeah, and the stairs on the concourse. That's going to be fun. I'm not looking forward to that one physically.
That's going to be a lot of walking.
Yeah, if I can't do the event with the team, if I'm juggling things as well, because I manage it all as I do it, I'll go out before and run the 50 miles, do the event myself, because I want to make sure everyone knows, hey, it can be done because I've done it. So I do that with all of our events. So I'm always on the ground with our people walking. So I got to do that one. And then we'll do one this fall. We're talking to a couple NFL teams to put one on. We did one suicide prevention ruck last year with the Sergeant Major of the Army, SMA Weimer. That was a great event. He's an amazing American. But yeah, that's what we've had. So it's been great. It's been hundreds of folk who have come out. We get people who will satellite in from other locations, and they'll be like, hey, I couldn't join you, so I walked over here. And then we'll just keep in contact with them. And then when we finish the ruck, if those people need help, we will get them to the help they need. We work with Resiliency Brain Health in Coppell, Texas. They do amazing work on brain mapping and working with individuals. And that's been a blessing. We have now expanded from military to police, fire, and EMS. And we've had a few SWAT from one LA SWAT went through. And another individual, I apologize, I forget where he came from, but it was hey, we need someone, he's got to go now. Okay, let's just, no questions asked, get him where he needs to go. So we do those.
So tell us about this. You said you have a partnership with the Spartan Race. Mm-hmm. Is that like a warrior dash, or there's a couple of different types of, is that Spartan, like an obstacle race, or what is that?
Yes, ma'am. So Spartan Race Incorporated, we have 44 countries, I believe, around the nation, and we're around the world, and we're doing events everywhere. I'm the head of military engagement right now. I'm actively working to change how we focus on our veteran population. And I'll be 43 this Christmas. I'm retired. So I am a veteran. It's all, I'm done. But I'm not done. I have to continue. I've got at least another 43 years of life. I have a young daughter who's 4 years old, and I have to be there for her. So I cannot give up now just because I retired. And I see a lot of our veteran population, they'll retire and then they'll like distance themselves from the military, or they'll let themselves go a little bit. They'll do these things when that's your time to burn. Let's go, get the fire going, keep moving. And we take those folk, we get them together. And I'm working right now with some people in DC to change how we look at our veteran population and the way we can better them, which is through staying in a community and staying fit. And if you're fit and you bring your family out and you guys do an event together, you feel better. Better moments make days, make for a better life. So that's what we're doing at Spartan Race.
That's awesome. And you personally, it's your other organization that has partnered with Jennifer, right? With the XXXY.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us about that partnership, because we have had Jennifer Say on quite a few times, and we've talked about her organization. And obviously we have been huge proponents of making sure that women are safe in women's sports, and that girls' sports continue to dominate for girls, and make sure that biological men are not in girls' sports. So how did that partnership come about, and what does that mean for Memorial Day? What does that mean for your organization?
Yeah. So Jen and I came together because I heard her on a podcast with Tulsi Gabbard. And I know Tulsi. So I hit her up and I said, she's awesome. I said, Jen's awesome, Tulsi, and all this. And she connected us. And that led to Jen and I, going to lunch and having a very open, candid conversation. And this was after she left Levi, and we went through all that. And, I've seen this company XXXY blossom into where it is now. And I think it's on the cusp of exploding throughout the nation and taking on a movement, because yes, it's a really good apparel company. They're my favorite workout shorts. I can say that with confidence, but it's what they're doing on the other end that I think matters the most, which is showing girls you matter, that you still matter. And it's okay to say, hey, this is for the boys, this is for the girls. Let's have that. We fought so hard, as a nation for Title IX and actually give girls a voice and let them go out there. So to have us now try to retract that and be like, oh, actually, let's do this instead and bring boys into girls' sports, to me, it's lunacy.
I know. And that's been the crazy part about watching what's happened just since the election, because it seems like the folks on the left side of the aisle are continuing to push that. I mean, we see that here in Michigan. They just took a vote on protecting girls' sports. And of course, all the Democrats voted against. It seems bizarre to me that we have this divide. And I don't really believe that the people who are parents of girls or were in sports as a woman themselves believe this. I think that there has become such a cult-like faction to the Democrat Party today that you have to be a part of it. You have to say, you have to toe the party line, even if it's to the detriment of your own children. It seems shocking to me.
Yeah, I agree, because if you had those people who voted no for that, on that side of the aisle, if you said, okay, I'm going to put boys in your little girl's sport and they're bigger, faster, stronger, you're okay with that, because that's what's going to happen right now. I would love for them to say, oh, yes, I am, and actually follow through with it. You're not going to see that. You're going to see people quietly fighting tooth and nail, or they're going to move their kids somewhere.
Yeah, that's what they do. They put their kids someplace where it can't happen, and then they fight to make sure everybody else's kid is in that position. I just saw this video last week, and it was my own home school district from Illinois. I grew up in Illinois, and the school district had parents coming in, and they were all seated with I can't remember what the sign said, but it was something that was like pro biological males in girls sports. And they had their flags and everything. And the mother stood up, and obviously she had a transgender child. And she said, for the girls out there that are concerned about not winning, this is a good life lesson, because you're not going to win everything and you should get used to it now. And I was thinking to myself, what a terrible way to speak to girls. Like, you have so little chance anyway. You should just get used to the bad news.
Can we go back to the 80s in the Army where we just said, can you be all you can be?
That's so right. Yes,
I mean,
exactly.
I'm trying to joke. I'm serious here.
I know. What a great slogan that was.
Yeah. Can we just all go back to saying, hey, be the best girl you can be the best boy you can be, and then be the best person you can be. And what we're doing right now is we're having an overreaction Olympics, and people are going for the gold trying to make this happen. And it's the silliest stuff. You need to, there's nothing wrong with just saying, hey, it's okay to be a girl. It's okay to be a boy. We've had for years toxic masculinity as a catchphrase and slogan. And now they're trying to do it to me, it's like toxic femininity is what they're going for. And they're going against women being women.
What could be more toxic masculinity than a man pretending to be a woman and taking her trophy?
Yeah. Like, how about we just...
take your testosterone muscles out of here.
Yeah, maybe that's a way to do it, and look at it that way. Be like, wow, you're such a masculine, toxic guy, however you want to phrase it, that you have to come into women's sports. Good job, bro.
Yeah, right. I mean, this is real. It's just so bizarre to me that we just see earlier last week, the women's college that gave Rachel Levine an honorary degree because, she's such an awesome transgender woman. And I think, how would you feel if you actually did the work, you studied, you paid for the degree, you paid to go there for 4 years, and they're like, you know what? We're going to give this guy who dresses in an outfit that a woman would dress in a degree from a women's college. And I mean, we can't deny it. This is what these men are doing. They're dressing in dresses, and then they're taking the accolades that a woman should get. And it's this, oh, we're celebrating the first woman who's done this and the first woman who's done this. And it's a man.
Yeah.
And as I have 4 daughters, you have a daughter. I mean, this is the thing that I want to protect that. And I want to stand for that. You go into we were just in Washington, D.C. with the 8th grade class, and you go into the statuary hall, and you see the statue of the 3 women that fought for women's suffrage. And there's a part of that statue that is built, it's unsculpted, and they say, well, that's for the women who are to come, that's representative of the women who will do great things. And I think to myself, that statue is there because it was so much harder for those women to stand up than it was for men. For those women, they broke through, they broke free from what they had been holding them back. And today, there are people who will stand in front of that statue and gladly say they should chisel a man's head in there who wears a dress.
Yeah, it's strange times. These are strange times.
It makes me so mad because I feel like there is a value to what this country is, and the freedoms that we have, and the power that everybody in this company or in this country wields, because it is we the people, and because of all the people that we've talked about today, all the people who gave their life for this country to continue what it is, and to continue to hold people up and make sure that everybody has the right to be free and be involved in sports, or be the CEO of a company, or start their own company. And those things are being whittled away by radicals. And I think this is an important day to sit back and say the traditional values of this country and the people who fought for those are to be honored and celebrated.
I could not agree more. Our day to day, if you look at it from what it is just to be grateful for who's come and who's done. And, we need to keep that alive, and we need to keep it sacred and say thank you and give that moment of honor and that moment of solace. But we got to do it every day for everyone. And we have to understand that, yes, we are all flawed people. In today's world with social media, technology, and everything we have, everyone feels alone when all you got to do is put it down. Don't look in your hand, look up, talk to folk, and get connected and understand that, hey, we're not all that different. And it's not that it has to be right versus left. We don't have to have this red-blue war. It just needs to be, hey, great, let's do what's best for our kids, because that's what matters, because that's what we're actually doing, is we're building a world our kids get to inherit. It's not like we're going to keep this world and we die, it goes away, though it seems that way now with how people act. But make it better for your kids.
Yeah. What is American? Be what is American. I love that. Yeah. Don't look at what's red or blue. Look at what's red, white, and blue. What do we see as a country? And I do believe that, there's radicals on both sides, but I do believe that most of us feel the same way about things. Most of us want the same things, and maybe there's slight differences, but I think for the most part, most Americans are grateful for the country we live in. They're grateful for the freedoms that we have, and they want the same thing. They want to be able to leave a country for their children that is similar to the country that they grew up in. So before I let you go, I really enjoyed talking to you, but tell us on your partnership with XXXY, what happens? Do people buy? Do the proceeds go to you? How does that help your organization?
So right now, XXXY and I are joining forces for up through Memorial Day and a little after, and a percentage of what you purchase from there is going to go to us and send veterans to therapy. And we'll take them down to Resiliency Brain Health in Capel, Texas. And for 2 weeks, they're going to get themselves at a baseline, get themselves built up, and then they stay with them. And we do too. If you join a ruck, you're a part of us forever. At any point, you can reach out and say, hey, I need help. Can you? Yeah, what do you need? The email goes straight to me. The phone number on the email is my personal phone number. I answer, I call, I talk to these folk. So with that said, if you need anything, go to 50ftf.org, give us a look, reach out to me, Chad at 50ftf.org. I'll give you my email. Reach out. I'll talk to you. If you want to come to an event, we'll make it happen. I'm working with Jen to where we can put on a women-only ruck. I ain't going to be there. I'm just going to give them all the keys to what I do for this and say, hey, you guys go out there and just go get it. Have fun. And at the end of it, you'll be better than you were when you started.
I love it. It's amazing. I'm glad I had you on. I saw Jennifer's post and I was like, oh, I want to talk to them. I want to see what they're doing. So I think that's great. If you go and you buy merchandise, which is great, I will agree with you. We have some of the shorts. We have few leggings. We have some shirts. The quality is amazing. The fabric is perfect. I mean, Jen, she knows what she's doing. She does a great job. That is an awesome company. It's summertime. You guys need to go get new workout gear. Don't lie. We all know you do. Everybody wants to put off getting that new workout gear. You got to go get it. Go get it now because this is a good cause. So buy some today. Make sure you help out 50 for the Fallen. Chad Conley, thank you so much for being on.
It was an honor to be here, Tudor. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. And thank you all for joining the Tudor Dixon Podcast for this episode and others. Go to TudorDixonPodcast.com, or you can go to the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. And remember, you can always watch on Rumble at Tudor Dixon. Join me next time on the Tudor Dixon Podcast. Have a blessed day.